Hey again everyone, so I have another review for you today, and that is Torrent by Lisa T. Bergren, book 3 in the River of Time series, and I'll start by reading the back of the book. Would you sacrifice your future for an uncertain past? Gabriella and Evangelia Bergren are just two normal American teenagers. Normal except for the fact that they time travel to 14th century Italy, where they've lived in castles, become swept up in historic battles, and fallen in love with handsome knights, willing to do anything to keep them alive. They've returned with their mother to the present to save their father before his tragic death, and now the family travels back to the place that holds the girls' hearts, medieval Italy. But remaining there means facing great risks as the battle for territory wages on, and the Black Plague looms. Will the Bergerines truly be willing to risk it all? Or, in facing death head-on, will they discover life as it was always meant to be lived? Okay. So, this series was just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Cover-wise, this time, this is not how I imagined Marcello to look. No. But the whole sort of purpley thing is nice. And they do look very pretty on the shelf. They really do. So at the moment, this is the final book. But there is a tentative book 4 called Tributary, but I'm not sure that it's from Gabby's perspective as the other three are. So I don't know if it's like a fourth book or if it's more of a companion novel. You can read like the first chapter on her website, but you don't want to read that if you haven't read the other 3 books. I really do hope that it does come out, because it was just amazing. It is without doubt the best series that I have read this year, and it is the best sort of historical fiction YA that I have ever read. I'm just completely in love with this series. I can't recommend it enough. I can't find the words to express how much I loved this series. It really was just amazing. So again, this it just starts from where the last book left off so smoothly. The thing about these 3 books is it doesn't feel like you've read a trilogy or the first 3 books in the series. It feels like it's one giant book. The transitions are so smooth. You wouldn't think that you'd put down one book and picked up another. It was just so amazingly done. The writing is great, the humour is great, and in this book it's basically the climax of everything that they've been fighting for. The Florence basically, I think. They've started, building up this army ready to overthrow Siena, and Siena has to fight back. But the Florentini intend to find a weakness really with Siena, and that is taking the she-wolves and trying to make Gabby marry someone else, which will be a symbol really to Siena that their she-wolf is marrying someone else, so it will defeat them, sort of, hit their morale. And so Marcello has to try and stop that from happening. Gabby has to try and stop that from happening. Again, it's all action. I'm trying not to give too much away, as well as not cough. So, again, an amazing end to the first 3 books. I do hope there is a book 4, I think. Again, it was kind of, the whole series really is 5 out of 5. But this book, I hit a wall while reading it about halfway through, I guess, which didn't happen in book 1 and book 2. And it's my personal preference, I suppose, when it comes to books. I do not like love triangles, and in this one there's a very small love triangle starting to emerges for a little while, and I didn't like it. For me, it's the complete antithesis of the main character Gabby in book 1 and book 2. She fights all to be with Marcello, and then she starts to have these feelings. for another guy. They're not as strong. She just likes him, whereas she loves Marcello. I was just a bit like, that's completely against your character. You've convinced your family to go back to medieval Italy in the 14th century, and then you let yourself be swayed by some other guy for, I don't know, 100 odd pages or something. I was just like, no, and I didn't like reading that, which slowed it down for me. I was just like, do I want to read on if this is what she's going to be like? Fortunately, it did go the way I wanted it to go in the end, but that's besides the point. I did hit a wall. But that wasn't enough to mar the book down. It was still 5 out of 5 for writing and overall plot. I just didn't like that little thing. Whereas it was a little different, I suppose. Putting that in there made it a little bit different from book 1 and book 2, but it wasn't for me. I didn't like it at all. I was just like, no, how could you do that to Marcello? I actually was like that, which is very sad, but I was. But overall, it was still amazing, and you have to read this series. I'm trying. My blog now has basically been pimped out as a shrine to this series because I love it so much. So, yeah, you should go check that out to see my amazing sadness. So, if you have checked this book out, please leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of it, or if you think you're going to check it out, or you want to ask me, or you can ask Jessica as well, because she did a book recommendation of this, because she too knows the awesomeness that is the River of Time series. So definitely check these out. That's all I can really say about it, because I will just keep repeating myself how amazing this series is. It doesn't need anything else, it just needs someone to just say how amazing it is. So yeah, that's my kind of review of the third book in the River of Time series. I hope you do check it out, and happy reading.